Hello again and welcome. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Sylvie and you're listening to the Vacant Lot Podcast. This is a podcast where I relive and recap some of the best moments from my favorite cartoon series growing up. Hey Arnold, it's been a while since I've gotten behind the mic. We're very quickly approaching the end of 2017. That can only mean one thing. We are getting closer and closer to the eventual release of the Jungle movie. As you could tell, I'm giddy with excitement. The last time I recorded an episode, it was more of an impromptu episode, just relaying my excitement for what they had showed at the San Diego Comic-Con in July. So now almost a full 2 months has passed since I recorded that last show, and a lot has happened since then. There's quite a bit I want to cover before I even get to today's topic. There's some things I want to cover right now, and then there's one last thing I would like to talk about at the end of the show because it might be construed as a spoiler. So I'll touch upon that last thing at the end of the show, but I'll talk about 2 bits of news right now. The first thing is, as you well know, the trailer for the Jungle movie has since come out, both the short version and the extended version. All the fans have had time to consume it and give their opinions and get excited and break apart the trailer bit by bit. And while the general consensus of the trailer is positive, most people are pleased with the trailer and are excited to get the final product in November. There is a notable few that have expressed more or less displeasure with the trailer. And the displeasure stems from the animation quality within the trailer. It's something that I mulled over and was worried about prior to the release of the trailer, but my fears were put to rest when I saw it in July. The same can't be said for a lot of people. I've visited the Hey Arnold Save the Jungle movie fan page on Facebook, and there's been a sizable number of people that have complained, oh, the animation doesn't look the same, it looks different, I'm excited for the movie, but I have to get over the animation. So there's been the very vocal group stating their displeasure with the animation. And in some ways I can see what they're saying. Again, right before the Hey Arnold trailer came out, the day before, there was the Rocko's Modern Life trailer. And unless you had old Rocko's Modern Life and the trailer side by side, it would be very difficult to tell the difference, at least in my opinion, because the art style was so spot on to how the show looked in the 90s. The same really can't be said with the Hey Arnold clip. Yeah, on the surface, it looks like Hey Arnold, but there is a few things different about it. I made note of the digital paint in the past, and I personally think the digital paint style works fine with this new iteration of Hey Arnold. Some of the fans just have to accept that it's not going to look the same as it did back in the 90s. In fact, just based on the trailer, if you want my opinion, I think if the trailer is any indication of what we're going to get in November, I say the Jungle movie already looks better than the theatrical film. Again, that's not saying much because the theatrical film was supposed to be on TV anyway, but that's neither here nor there. So it's funny this is such a sticking point with a lot of fans because what's interesting is Netflix had finally released the trailer for their reboot of the Magic School Bus. If I could just give a little backstory in this. So the Magic School Bus is an educational cartoon from the 90s. It ran for a few seasons. Fast forward to 2014 or 15, Netflix had announced that they were going to release this brand new Magic School Bus, and it was supposed to come out the following year. So everyone gets hyped and excited. We didn't have much to go off of except one still concept art. So 2016 came and went, absolutely no word about the Magic School Bus. We're now 3/4 into the year of 2017, and we finally get a trailer. The trailer was released yesterday, and the general consensus is poopy. I watched the trailer, and I just shook my head through it. Now, mind you, I wasn't a huge Magic School Bus fan. I appreciated it. I did see a few episodes. I didn't love it, but I thought it was cute. I liked the little segment they had at the end of every episode where Malcolm Jamal Warner's character always got a phone call from some random kid saying, well, this can't happen and that can't happen. And I appreciate that because, yeah, it's supposed to be a show, an educational show with a science lean, and yet the children are traveling around in a magic school bus that can fly or that can shrink or catch things on fire or whatever. So I like that end point where the kids would call and point out kind of the inconsistencies with the show. But this new iteration, it looks bad. I don't know how else to say it. It looks really bad. The original Magic School Bus was not the best animated thing of all time. It had serviceable animation. In that it had what looked like animation. The characters moved in what looked like fluid motions when the need arose. But at least all the characters looked different. At least it looked like effort was put into it. This new version of the Magic School Bus does not look like they put effort at all into it. The characters, the children all look the same. The models are all the same. They're just palette swap and different hairstyles and just different skin tones. It's abysmal. And all the characters have the same dead, lifeless look to them. It's like I'm suddenly thinking back to Mighty Number 9 from last year, where it's just they totally phoned in the graphics, where everything just looked dead and lifeless and just like a bunch of dolls. And I know it's unfair to judge a show based on the trailer, but heck, that's what are we not doing that with the Hey Arnold trailer? I actually posted the Magic School Bus trailer on the Facebook page to hammer the point home that yes, the animation for the new Jungle movie is not perfect and it's not the same as what we're used to, but we are spoiled compared to what these poor saps who are getting the Magic School Bus are getting. And I shouldn't say saps, because the Magic School Bus is intended for kids. I need to understand that this new show is intended for kids. It's not intended for a bunch of grumbling, griping, like 20, 30-year-olds such as myself. So for that, I understand. Like, they don't need to shell out the best animation for a children's show, much less an educational show. But like on the flip side, I don't want to say a show needs the best animation to flourish. Like, look at a show like Family Guy, where they can get away with minimal animation in the series and it still be enjoyable. I haven't watched Family Guy in a long time. I'm assuming it's still enjoyable. Family Guy hasn't been canceled yet, has it? Anyway, so I'm getting off topic, but I posted the trailer for the Magic School Bus, and while there are a lot of people looking at the trailer and saying, "Oh my gosh, yeah, we are so lucky that we actually got decent animation for our sequel," a lot of people were still like, "I don't know, it looks okay, it's it works," and there's so many people in denial. It looks bad, and I should reserve judgment until the show actually comes out, because maybe the writing is top notch and it's so good that it makes you forget how bad the animation is. But anyone who's a Hey Arnold fan needs to watch the Magic School Bus trailer and thank their lucky stars that our movie is not turning out like that reboot. So that's all I'm going to say regarding the animation quality. Yes, it could be better, but at least it's not the Magic School Bus. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, so we got the trailer, and as I predicted, we're getting a more consistent stream of content being trickled out about the Jungle movie. Originally, it was like a little concept art here, some storyboard art there. Well, now that we finally got a moving picture, a moving image in July, now I think the studios and Craig were more comfortable giving us a bit more. So at least once a week now, they're churning out little stills and pictures from the movie and getting us all hyped. There was a nice screenshot from the movie where it's Helga, Arnold, Gerald, and Phoebe standing on what appeared to be the side of a boat. I'm assuming looking in the water. One person had commented they think someone may have thrown Eugene in the water. He might have fallen, and I predict somehow Brainy must have gotten in, but we'll see when the movie comes out. And it's probably the best image we've gotten so far, because it shows all four characters in one shot. So yeah, we've been getting a lot of new content. We actually got more than we probably should have, I think. Not too long after the trailer was released, I'd say maybe 1 or 2 weeks after the trailer was released, there'd been some additional video footage leaked on Instagram. At least the first place I saw was Instagram. And it was these like 9-10 second clips of footage from the movie. One was of, I guess, Helga trying to explain something to Arnold and being very flustered about it. And the other was an image of Arnold, Gerald, and Helga. They looked like they were in the jungle at that point, and they're all hopping from one item to the next. We can't see because it's a shot from the torso up to the head, but it looks like it's almost like they're trying to match a pattern so they don't activate a trap. And that looks like they're actually in San Lorenzo. So there are a few clips that were released, but then they were quickly erased. It sounds like there was an animator from South Korea, so a person who probably officially worked on the Jungle movie, who had gotten a hold of some clips and maybe leak them without Nickelodeon's permission, which is pretty ballsy. I mean, like, I hope this animator still has a job after that, because, you know, like, I could wait. I honestly, 10 seconds are good and all, but I could wait to actually see it in the next few months. On the flip side, I'm happy that she did it, because at least we got some footage of San Lorenzo that we could speculate over. So yeah, there's been a lot of footage that's been released over the past few weeks. And it's gotten the Hey Arnold community up in arms and speculating like out the eyeballs. It's been mad, some of the speculation. Some people are watching the trailer and scrutinizing like inconsequential things like, why is Ruth there? I thought Arnold dumped Ruth back in Arnold's Valentine, and oh, why is she there? And like, okay, yeah, like she's there because she's a character on the show. Like I said, the trailer was supposed to be a who's who of every single character that's been in the show in the past. So it makes sense that Ruth's be there. I wouldn't think too much into that. But anyway, I shouldn't complain. It's great to see that the fans are so engaged and so excited and have their minds churning with possibilities on what all these clips could possibly mean. I'm hoping it ramps up even more. Actually, it's just recently been announced that the Hey Arnold crew is going to be at the New York Comic-Con in a few weeks. I doubt they'll be showing the exact same trailer as they showed at San Diego Comic-Con, since it's plastered all over the internet at this point. I think they'll probably show a secondary trailer, and we probably might get even more footage of San Lorenzo and maybe more of an idea of the plot. Which would make sense, because then at that point it'd be about a month away from the actual release. So I think we're really going to get a lot of new information come October. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Once again, I said I'll mention my last point at the end of today's topic, which I will start right now. So I mentioned in my impromptu episode that I had received some nice commission art from Jeremy Frascaldo for the podcast. It's now shown prominently on the Facebook page. I actually did get a second piece of art that I'm prominently displaying now on my Wattpad page. There's an artist by the name of Eden Spring Bueno, or Eclipse 777 on DeviantArt. She was making the rounds on the Hey Arnold Facebook fan page and had just left a post asking if anyone was interested in some free art. And a lot of people jumped on it, myself included. So I gave her a suggestion. I'd like some artwork for my old fanfic, and she agreed. And in a few days, she had made me a really nice picture that I was just blown away by. She really has good art. She's doing it to practice her skill, I believe, but honestly, I think she has an amazing style. And I'll give the name again, Eden Spring Bueno. I think that's what she goes by on Facebook, but on the DeviantArt page, it's Eclipse 777. She does go by the Eden Spring Bueno on DeviantArt as well, but I believe that page has not been updated in a few years. Eclipse 777, that's Eclipse without the E at the end, 777. That page is more recent. Like, she's had art since last month, August 2017 on there. So give her a look. I don't think she's still doing just the free artwork, but just look at her style and just enjoy it. So looking at the fan art and just thinking about how much time is remaining before the movie comes out, I'm stuck in a bit of a fluster right now, because I made this goal for myself at the beginning of the year that not only would I be working on my podcast, but that I'd be churning out fanfics, like all the fanfics ideas that I possibly had, because I feel like once the movie comes out, there's going to be something that's going to contradict or conflict with an idea that I've had in the past, and I'll have to discard it. So I really wanted to get all my ideas out at the very latest before the month of November. And while I have been on and off working on something, and I have churned out one over the past few months, I'm far behind my goal, and it made me realize I have to get my butt back in gear. And a good way to do that is just to look at a lot of fan art and just admire some of the work that a lot of people have put into their love of the show. I won't say that things have been stagnant in this period between having Hey Arnold be on the air and having no new content for over 10 years. But I will say, once that announcement was made in 2015 that we were getting the Jungle movie, we almost had this sort of renaissance of people coming out and making brand new art and revitalizing the fandom. And I think it's an amazing thing. As a fanfic writer myself, I'm oftentimes jealous because you can write an amazing story. You can write something that's compelling or that's something that people will enjoy, but there's nothing quite like getting that visceral, immediate reaction of looking at some good piece of art based on your favorite show and saying, yeah, that looks awesome. And then on the flip side, getting inspired by that. Like it's a more immediate rush of pleasure, I guess a dopamine high, seeing fan work as opposed to reading it. What I wanted to do in today's episode is pay homage to some of the best or most prolific artists in the Hey Arnold community. Unlike a lot of my other lists where I give a top 5, this will not be a top 5. In fact, this won't be in any particular order. It's impossible for me to go over every single piece of artwork that's spoken to me or every artist that's inspired me. So I just have a small sample of the many, many talented artists that do or have done Hey Arnold fan art. So if you have others you'd like to suggest, that's fine. This is just my opinion. It's a quick sort of kind of thank you to, in general, to all of the Hey Arnold fan artists, but I just wanted to point out a few in particular. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first person I wanted to talk about is an artist by the name of Neo Slashat, aka Artie Blancas. Neo Slashat's been around for quite some time. They might be one of the older artists in the Hey Arnold community. My earliest recollection is probably the Mega Wacky Max days. So back in like early 2000s. Mega Wacky Max was a bilingual Hey Arnold page. It had not only artwork, but also fanfics, and they were in both English and Spanish. So Neo Slashat's been around for quite some time. He's Filipino, and his style is very anime-esque. A lot of his older work has a very Japanese manga feel to it. So back in the day, I would say early mid 2000s, he did a lot of Hey Arnold related fan art. In fact, he was one of the earliest artists that dabbled with flash animation as well. One of my earliest recollections is an animation that Neo Slashat did with the character Miriam Pataki to the song Evanescence Bring Me to Life. The animation was very rudimentary, but the character models were pretty spot on, and I remember enjoying it a lot. Regrettably, I have no idea how to track down this animation. It's since been lost. Neo Slashat used to have his own website, and that's where the Miriam Pataki Bring Me to Life flash animation was. As far as I know, it's lost, and I'm not even sure if Neo Slashat himself still has the original copy. However, Neo Slashat did at least 2 other Hey Arnold based fan animations. One was Helga and the other girls in her grade singing to the Corrs' Runaway, and the other flash animation was of Olga, Helga's sister, singing about how much she misses her sister, set to 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. So those are the 3 I remember. The Miriam one is long gone, but the Olga one and the Helga one you could still find on Newgrounds. So it's worth checking those out. As far as how active Neo Slashat is in the Hey Arnold community, he still updates from time to time on DeviantArt, but it's been several years since he's drawn anything Hey Arnold related. He actually had a short comic he worked on early on that was heavily inspired by Hey Arnold. You could tell because a lot of the characters, one looked like Helga, the other looked like Phoebe. It was an interesting concept. It was like Pokemon meets Pocket Spirits or something. But yeah, Neo Slashat has not done any Hey Arnold work in several years, but it's still worth checking out his old stuff. So the next person I want to talk about is artist Blue Chicken. That's spelled BLOOCHIKIN, Blue Chicken. Her actual name is, and I'm going to butcher it, I apologize, Naya Porter. That's Najja, Naya Porter. So she's someone who came kind of later on into the Hey Arnold community. I'd say probably late 2000s, early 2010s. Her style has always impressed me. She had a fascinating style that bounced around from the more traditional look of the show, where the characters actually looked how they looked on the show, but then also she would make the characters look more realistic or put her own spin on the character. But even though the character didn't quite look like how they looked on the show, they still looked very fleshed out and unique. There's a picture she has, for example, of Helga and Arnold holding a happy birthday cake, and that's in the traditional Nickelodeon Hey Arnold style. And then switch to another picture where it's Arnold and Helga and I think Gerald dressed as pirates. It still looks like Hey Arnold, but it has more of her flavor to it. And then even then, there's another picture where it's of Helga from the episode Helga's Parrot, and it doesn't look like Helga from the show, but if Helga was a real child, it would look like her, and she's wearing the construction hat and holding the chainsaw and just has this determined look on her face. So this woman has done a lot of really good Hey Arnold fan art. One of my favorites, actually, which should be, I believe, on her DeviantArt page, is a picture with all the students on PS 118. And it's hilarious. It's in black and white, but all the characters are kind of dynamic and doing their own thing and not really taking a good picture, good class photo. And then off to the side, there's their old teacher, Mrs. Slovak, and she's got kind of like this eye twitch going on where she's just like, she's done with them. And it's probably one of my favorite Hey Arnold pieces from her. So her involvement, she hasn't really been active in the Hey Arnold community as of late. Her most recent pictures actually showed she had taken a fascination to Ed, and Eddie, as well as Steven Universe. In fact, her last Hey Arnold related picture was in 2016 as part of a commission. But you know what? She has all the reason in the world to move on, because I visited her official webpage and she's got quite the resume. This is just an excerpt from the site. Having graduated from the Art Institute of Tampa, she has worked for companies such as Humoring the Fates, League Entertainment, and Echo Bridge Pictures, having animated on projects such as Major Lazer and Axe Cop. She has also taken part in Nickelodeon's artist program as a storyboard artist. So she's been busy, and she's obviously working to create a professional portfolio. So I'm in no means disappointed that she no longer does fan art and DeviantArt, because she's obviously moved on to bigger and better things. I imagine we'll see something from her on a grander scale, be it Hollywood or television or otherwise, in the next few years. I see great things for her. Okay, the next person I want to talk about is a person whose name I can't really pronounce on DeviantArt. It's KNKNKNK. She also goes by Ko Kanako or Kanako. This is an artist from Japan. She does Hey Arnold style that's very lively and colorful. It's very close to traditional style of the show as from Nickelodeon, but somehow it also has a little kind of anime lilt to it. Ko Kanako's claim to fame is making TV posters of sorts for some of the best episodes of Hey Arnold. So, for example, she did beautiful artwork for the episode Arnold's Valentine, or she'd do one for 24 Hours to Live. I think she did one for Helga's Parrot. She took different episodes and basically interpreted the episode in just one still picture, but she encompassed everything that made that episode special in the artwork, which takes a lot of talent. I've seen her work appear many, many times on Craig Bartlett's Instagram. He's been very explicit about his love of her art style, and for good reason too. It's very expressive and very colorful, and it captures the innate cartoony style of the show, but at the same time injects her own flavor into it. Earlier this year, Ko Kanako, she wasn't taking commissions, but she was selling keychains. Yeah, she was selling keychains that she made of the characters. There were 3 in particular. I think one of Arnold and Helga, and one of just Helga. So I missed the first round and I was kicking myself, but then she came back and did a second round, and I immediately jumped on the Helga keychain. And I was so elated when I finally got it, but the problem was I never used it because her artwork is just so good. I never wanted to use her keychain. So true story, it's actually at my desk at work right now. I just have it hanging prominently like a piece of art, because that's what it is to me. I just, sometimes I'm sitting at my desk and I just stare at it, and then Helga's staring right back, reclined and just looking up in space longingly. Her style is just a joy to have. I hope she makes more, but if not, I'm glad to have gotten the keychain that I got. Okay, so the next person I want to talk about is Limey404. Limey hasn't updated their DeviantArt page since 2014, but the reason why I bring up this particular artist is because they have made arguably the most famous piece of Hey Arnold fan artwork of all time. And this is why I say this. So we all know that the movie was announced in November of 2015. And in the following year of July 2016, when the first San Diego Comic-Con released the first concept art for the Jungle movie, they had this display set up in San Diego to promote the Hey Arnold panel. So it was kind of like this 3-dimensional stoop that you could actually sit by and have your picture taken with the character Arnold and Helga within the shot. And I remember when someone first released a still image from Comic-Con, and I'm like, wait a minute, where have I seen that image before? And if you look at it, it's not exact, but it's an altered version of Limey's artwork, that good old football head. You could find it in a lot of places. The original location is on the DeviantArt page, but since the movie had been announced, every official news site from like 17 to BuzzFeed was using his or her image to promote the news that Arnold was getting a Jungle movie. And I think a lot of these news sources didn't realize this was not official Nickelodeon artwork. This was artwork from a fan. And that just shows the testament of how good Limey's Hey Arnold fan art was. This artist, I keep saying this artist because I don't know if there's male or female, but Limey was so good at painstakingly capturing the essence of the show in their art. It's not like the character looks like a character from Hey Arnold, but the colors are different and there's a lot of artistic license. No, for whatever reason, Limey decided to keep their interpretation of Hey Arnold very rigid to the point where it looked like the show. If they ever did decide to make a graphic novel out of Hey Arnold, this would be the artist I would hire because they nailed the style from the color palette to just how the characters looked. And they even extrapolated the characters to being in high school, but the characters still look like the characters, just a bit older. Limey's style in particular impresses me the most just because of how prolific it's become over the past year. So I recommend you look up that good old football head because it's the basis for an actual display that showed up at the San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, definitely look up Limey404 on DeviantArt and just admire the perfection of this person's Hey Arnold artwork. Okay, next person I want to talk about is My Last Fantasy. This is someone a bit newer to the game. I didn't really notice their artwork until after the announcement in 2015. This is another person that keeps their style of Arnold and Helga fairly traditional, with one notable trademark. My Last Fantasy has a trademark where Helga's always drawn with blue eyes and Arnold is always drawn with green eyes. So even if she draws a black and white picture, the eyes of Arnold are always green and Helga's eyes are always blue. But there's a lot of colorful artwork too. I first noticed their art around the end of 2015 to early 2016, where they did a comic titled Hey Arnold Mistletoe. And there's this multi-page thing where Helga and Arnold are arguing over a kiss over the mistletoe. It's really cute. She has some other stuff too. I'm really addicted to her style of how she draws Helga. It still looks like Helga, but it's more feminine, but not to the point where it's so feminine it doesn't look like Helga. One of my favorites is HGP Skater Girl, and it's basically Helga dressed as a skater girl giving attitude to the audience. It's really cute. I don't know when's the last time they've updated, but they were really active from 2015, 2016. Not so much now, but maybe they're on hiatus, school starting and such. So the next one I want to talk about is a little complex. It's more of an idea than an actual artist. Well, actually, it's a combination of two artists that brings this concept to life. A lot of fans like to imagine that Arnold and Helga get together, get married, and eventually have kids. So there's more iterations than I care to count of people's interpretations of what Arnold and Helga's kids would look like or be called. Heck, I even did it. I think it takes a certain level of ingenuity and imagination to devise what's almost considered not quite canon, but a generally accepted kind of baseline for what Arnold and Helga's family would be. And that came about with a series called The Shortmans, or Meet the Shortmans. There's a fanfic writer / fan artist by the name of Super Singer. You could find them on DeviantArt. They made a series of short stories about the hypothetical children that Arnold and Helga would have. They believed that they would have 4 children, 3 boys and a girl: Zachary, Amanda, Hamilton, and Phil. Zachary's kind of imagine a gender-bent Helga. I believe he's either him or Hamilton are the oldest, but just imagine Helga as a teen but a boy, and that's basically Zachary. He's kind of like the troublemaker in the family. And then we have Amanda, which is a little football-headed youngest child, a little girl who's sweet little pigtails a la Helga. And then we have Hamilton, who's one of the older children. He also has Arnold's football-shaped head. And I don't know, he of all the characters, he looks the most awkward, but he's a football-headed, buff teenager. And then the last one is Phil. And Phil's interesting because while he kind of has the combined look of Helga and Arnold, since the football head, he has brown hair, while the other kids have blonde hair, and he's always moody and introverted. Just by looking at the artwork, it's easy to envision these characters as actual characters from the show. I never really gravitated towards the fan fics, but I always loved the fan art because there's so much love and attention to put into what could be with a series about the offspring of Helga and Arnold. Super Singer did a lot of art based off his or her idea of Life of the Shortmans, as well as other characters. I think they made a character, the hypothetical son of Phoebe and Gerald, amongst some other characters, but they all were in the Hey Arnold style. They were just the offspring. I'm going to give an also shout out to Puffball 17, because actually some of my favorite artwork of Life with the Shortmans is Puffball 17's interpretation of the characters. There's this one, The First of Many Farts, which is basically Zachary impeding on the space of his other siblings, Amanda, Hamilton, and Phil. And I just get a smile on my face every time I see it, because I'm like, yes, I get totally see this as a cartoon series. And if the Jungle movie does hint at the idea of showing Arnold and Helga in the future, if they show that they have a child, I hope they look like any of the children from the Shortmans, because it's scary. It's like, I'm one of those people who generally didn't like to think of the characters as adults, but looking at the artwork for the Shortmans gives me a reason to want to see it. That plays a testament to the talents of Super Singer and, to a lesser extent, Puffball 17. Okay, next person I want to talk about is Squirrel Tamer, aka Farkled again. Squirrel Tamer's been around for a while. I'd say probably mid-2000s. As far as I know, she's still active in making artwork for Hey Arnold. She started out doing Hey Arnold artwork that I guess kind of closer model to the traditional style, like from the show on Nickelodeon, but she's really evolved her style. She really puts her own flavor into how she draws the characters. I'd say one instance in particular is how she draws Rhonda. Rhonda on the show is just kind of this lanky 9-year-old 4th grader, but she tends to like to draw Rhonda a bit older, usually paired up with Harold, and just more voluptuous. She doesn't go that natural trajectory where she thinks, okay, Rhonda would probably be like this lanky 4th grader to, I don't know, like a cheerleader, popular girl. She kind of skips all that and goes straight to adulthood, where she's rounded and just very, I can't think of the great word, curvaceous, I guess is the best way I could say it. You'd have to see her art. Squirrel Tamer's style is very fleshed out and intricate. I'll admit it's not to everyone's taste, but I can appreciate her interpretations of the characters from Hey Arnold. Interesting story about Squirrel Tamer. Actually, her artwork became the inspiration for a fanfic that I did a few years ago. Back in 2012, she posted a fan art on DeviantArt titled H.A. Why Not? And it was just basically a crack pairing of Wolfgang and Nadine from the show. And at first nothing came of it. And then I think one person wrote a fanfic inspired by the idea, but never finished it. And then I read the fanfic and then I was like, oh, that sucks, I didn't finish it. So then I went in 2013, and I actually wrote my own version of Wolfgang and Nadine and finished it. And then shortly afterwards, Squirrel Tamer drew another picture, kind of like an updated picture, more in the Hey Arnold style. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you look at the style from 2012 and the style from after I'd written my version of the fanfic, you can see her diverse style. Like, she can jump both ways. She can choose to either do the more traditional style or she can inject more of her style into the character, but both styles are a good testament to her talents. As far as I know, Squirrel Tamer is still active. She's easily one of my favorite artists. Definitely check her work out. I think some of her work's on Tumblr too. To my knowledge, not everything is safe for work in terms of the Hey Arnold artwork, but 90% of it is. Yeah, definitely give her stuff a look. So another one I want to talk about is Uriel Man X7, and he's an artist on DeviantArt. Another artist who has a very vibrant, colorful style with their Hey Arnold work. Oftentimes it has almost a bit of an anime lean to it as well. He doesn't do primarily Hey Arnold work. I'd say a lot of the Hey Arnold stuff he did was very commission based, but of the stuff that he did, he does put his all into it. It definitely looks like the show. I actually approached Uriel Man X7 for a commission for one of my favorite fanfics. Not a fanfic that I wrote, but one of my favorite fanfics by the aforementioned Megawaki Max for a story called Project Phoebe. A long time ago, I drew my own little lame fan art for it, but when I saw he was doing commissions, I'm like, hey, can you take this picture and make it not suck? And so he did, and I'm using it right now as the cover for, I'm trying to, I wish I have a better word for it. I'm trying to quote unquote rescue Project Phoebe from obscurity. You can find it if you look super, super hard. I actually stumbled upon the fanfic on accident, just surfing around the internet, but you really have to search. There's a deep search here and a Wayback Machine search there. So I wanted to bring it out more prominently. So I asked the artist if I was allowed to repost it with better proofread English on DeviantArt, and he said yes. So that's actually another project I need to get back on, because I was only about halfway done with posting that before I kind of abandoned that. But I think I should get back on there and finish Project Phoebe, and at least to get his artwork back out there to promote the fanfic. And the last person that I want to talk about is Jebby Pinka, or Jess. I don't really have much to say about her. She's another artist that's fairly new on the scene. I kind of noticed her. I think I noticed her as early as this year or late last year. I like her because her style is reminiscent of Kanako, who hasn't updated in a while. I just like looking at her work. I think she has a DeviantArt page, but she also is a person that likes to post a lot on the Hey Arnold fan page, so it's probably not even necessary to go on DeviantArt. But I just wanted to finish off on her just to show that we still have a lot of very active and very talented people in the Hey Arnold community. And I think it's good to every now and then just chime in and just say what a good job they're doing, and it's great that they're showing that the community's alive and vibrant, and just really excited for the Jungle movie in November. Okay, so that's all I have in terms of the topic for today. If you're still listening at this point, you can choose to turn off now, because I'm about to go into what might potentially be spoilers regarding the Jungle movie. Otherwise, you can keep listening. Still there? Okay, so I found something very interesting this week that may or may not be considered a spoiler for the Jungle movie. On a whim, I decided to peruse the Jungle movie page on IMDb and just see what they had in terms of casting information. I think when they first released the casting lists on IMDb, it was profoundly inaccurate. Like, there were some characters on there that probably weren't even supposed to be in the movie, or there were actors proposed that I think have since been pulled out. I wish I could remember some. I want to say Antonio Banderas, but I think that's my own headcanon floating around somewhere. But there were a lot of out there names for actors within the Jungle movie. Since the trailers come out, it's been fleshed out a bit more, and it seems a bit more accurate. I'd say 90% of what's been posted now is accurate, with two notable exceptions. They mention Harvey the Mailman as Ernie Hudson. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. As you all know, the original voice of Harvey the Mailman, Lou Rawls, has died, so he obviously wouldn't be reprising his role, but I'm actually surprised they're going to bring Harvey the Mailman back at all. So if that's true, that's interesting. I don't see the reason why he wouldn't be in it. Ernie Hudson's got to work too. But what I really wanted to talk about is I noticed underneath the credit for Craig Bartlett, there was was a credit for a character only titled Girl Queen. And I don't recall that existing before. In the early versions of the IMDb page, I don't remember any character being listed as Girl Queen. But now there's a Girl Queen who's supposed to be voiced by actress Hope Levy. And I did a little dig of Hope Levy's filmography, and she doesn't really have any roles of note. A lot of it's additional voices and background voices leading all the way back to the late 90s. So she hasn't really had a definitive role in anything, so I couldn't even tell you what she sounds like. But Hope Levy is dubbed the Girl Queen in the Jungle Movie. I posted this on my Twitter, and there's some people saying that, take what IMDb posts with a grain of salt, nothing's been confirmed. But we're 2 months away from the movie coming out. I don't think there's going to be too much more change on the page. I think it's fair to speculate who this Girl Queen is. Perhaps they're the leader of the Green Eyes. I'm speculating, when I hear the term Girl Queen, I think two things. I think the childlike empress from the Neverending Story. So maybe it's a character that doesn't age. Maybe that plays a part. Maybe the Green Eyes are unable to age for some reason. That'd be an interesting plot point. Or maybe it's like that annoying bratty Sultan kid from The Great Chipmunk Adventure where, it's Nickelodeon, right? A real good place to be a kid, so why not? Let's make a kid the leader of the Green Eyes. I don't know, that'd be kind of tacky, but I wouldn't hold it beneath them to do that. But if they're going to go this route with making a child the leader of the Green Eyes, then that brings another question of who is this kid? Is it just some random Green Eyes? Or if it's a Girl Queen, how likely is it that this character is Arnold's sister? And I'm just totally speculating right now. I don't even know if I want that to be the case, because that opens a whole other can of worms and invites a bunch of other questions that I don't think a lot of fans are ready to have posed yet. But I'm putting it out there. I know it's premature because the movie's not out yet, but I'm willing to predict now that the Girl Queen is a vital part of the movie, and they're being intentionally vague about it because it might play a key role in the movie. So I'd like to know what you think. If you think it's a bunch of bunk, it's not really part of the movie and someone's just fooling around IMDb, or if you think Girl Queen is something substantial, maybe even Arnold's sister. I'd love to hear from the fans on this. So yeah, if you have any thoughts or insight, you can contact me on the website vacantlotpodcast.com, or you can send me a line on thevacantlotpodcast@gmail.com. You could also find me on Twitter at Vacant Lot Show, and you could also leave me a line on the Facebook page, Vacant Lot Podcast. I keep forgetting to promote that, but yeah, I have a Facebook page too. That is really all I want to say for now. This went on way too long, but I feel like I had to compensate for missing all of August. Sorry guys. So if you're still on board and you still want to hear me ramble about Hey Arnold until the movie comes out in November, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. I'm also on Google Play, on Podbean, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn. So that is all I have to say for now. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye. The song you're listening to is Sweatari by the band Escalate. Be sure to download their album The Pop Machine on iTunes. That's the band Escalate, ESCALATE !